Best time of year is upon us. The Stanley Cup Playoffs begin this week, and with the Vegas Golden Knights going up against the Winnipeg Jets in round one, I want to cover everything you need to know about this matchup, from player stats, team stats, predictions on who I think is going to win, and everything in between. So let's go and get right into that. Of course, the Vegas Golden Knights finished as the #1 seed in the entire Western Conference, just barely edging out not only the Stars, the Avalanche, but also the Oilers that were right on the tail of the Vegas Golden Knights. But with all that being said, the Winnipeg Jets are not a team that you can take lightly. I mean, no team in the playoffs you can take lightly. Every single matchup in this 7-game series could go completely wild, and that's something that you have to be prepared for. So I want to be covering everything, and the first thing I want to talk about is going to be the team stats for both of these teams. We're going to be going through the major statistical categories. That's talking record, goals per game, goals against average, power play percentage, penalty kill percentage, shots per game, shots against per game, and save percentage. We're going to be going, the first number is going to be the Golden Knights. The second number will be the Winnipeg Jets. That way we kind of understand everything so nothing is too confusing. First, the record. 51, 22, and 9 for the Vegas Golden Knights, of course, putting them at the top of the Western Conference. And at 46, 33, and 3, the Winnipeg Jets slid into the second wildcard spot, and technically the worst record of the playoff teams in the Western Conference. But like I said, you can't take just the record and be like, okay, this team's going to win. It's not really that simple. So let's talk about goals per game. Vegas Golden Knights did pretty good this year, especially dealing with a lot of these injuries. They ranked 12th, above average, not by a long shot, not in the top 10, but still 12th is a very, very good number. For the Jets, they rank 22nd. Now, as we go through these stats, I kind of want to break some stuff down for you. The Vegas Golden Knights, they've done really, really good. The Winnipeg Jets have done pretty solid. I mean, not great. They're below average in the offense category. Vegas Golden Knights are slightly above average, and we know how much that can matter. Yes, a great offense can still do really good against a great goalie, but you kind of have to take into consideration some of these things. That's why you look at your goals against average. Vegas Golden Knights are 11th, and the Jets are 5th in goals against average. Now, for the Jets, they have Connor Hellebuyck, who is currently a Vezina trophy. He's in the race. I don't think he's going to win it, but he's in the top 5, maybe even top 3 odds for this year's Vezina trophy race. So that's going to be a struggle for the Vegas Golden Knights. Even if they're 12th in goals per game for them, they're going up against some really tough competition. As a whole team, this team's top 5, and that's a big factor because of Connor. Now, that will likely mean that the Vegas Golden Knights may not score as much as they're used to. That could drag them down a little bit. On the other side of things, you look, and the Vegas Golden Knights dealt with a lot of injuries in that goalie room. Logan Thompson, still don't know if he's returning. I don't think he's returning this series. You have Aiden Hill, who's ready to play, but it seems like he's not going to get the starting role. The starting role is actually going to go to Laurent Brossoit. Now, we're going to talk about his player stats in a little bit here, but he's kind of been on a little bit of heater. He was just the 3rd star of the week, maybe even I think it was just of the week, not of the month, but of the week, the very last week in the regular season. So he's been doing really, really good, and if he can keep that up, he can surely do a great job for the Vegas Golden Knights. But again, the Jets at 22nd, going up against, Brossoit, who's been doing great, and also, the fact that the Knights are 11th, maybe their numbers come down a little bit. So I kind of think it evens out a little bit with goals per game and goals against average for both these teams. They're both going to come down a little bit. I have a feeling they're both going to come down a little bit. But don't expect there to be every single game a low-scoring event. I mean, we see time and time again random teams go off and score a bunch. Maybe a little bit extra light will help me here. Score a bunch. I mean, every single team at some point is going to score 6 or 7 throughout the regular season. Can you get that going during the playoffs? As we all know, the hottest goalie is going to get you the farthest in the playoffs. But from that point, we're talking power play. Power play percentage, penalty kill percentage. That's a huge factor in some of these things. And Vegas Golden Knights, 18th in power play percentage. The Jets, 21st. Both these teams right below average, nothing really flashy. I know that the Knights have had streaks where they get nothing going from the power play percentage. I'm sure the Jets have done just the same. Nothing phenomenal here. Now, something that does be considered is the penalty kill percentage. That's something that matters as well. Penalty kill, Golden Knights 19th. The Jets are at 7th. They kill a lot of power play percentages, or power plays. A lot. 7th. That's extremely high. Top 10, okay? That means that Vegas Golden Knights likely going to sit around, where they're at right now, maybe even a little bit lower, especially because they've went through streaks where they're not so good. Now, on the opposite side of things, the power play percentage, although for the Jets, they're 21st in power play, and the Golden Knights aren't great at the PK at 19th, but they don't have a lot of penalty time. They're last in the league at penalty minutes, so you're not going to get a whole lot of opportunities, and that's something you got to take into consideration for the Jets. They may do a little bit better than their projection at 21st, but they might do better, but they're not going to get a whole lot going from it because the Golden Knights aren't going to produce a whole lot of opportunities for the Jets. Now, the last kind of major stat here outside of save percentage is going to be shots. How many shots are you shooting? And how many are you facing? Something really, really important here. And then you look at the save percentage, that's important as well. But the more shots you're putting up, you're likely going to score more goals. And the less you're facing, the less goals you're probably going to see. Especially if your goalie's doing well, as both these teams were doing. Shots for both of these teams is going to be 15th and 21st. Right around average, actually pretty much right at average for the Knights, and behind average for the Jets. Now, the Knights do a great job at getting more shots than the opposition pretty much every single game. Sometimes even up to like 10 extra shots. It continually happens. I mean, I watched nearly every game in the back end of the season once I was able to, because I wasn't able to in the first half of the season, location and all that crap. But nonetheless, the Vegas Golden Knights continually get more shots, and statistics, numbers-wise, 15th versus 21st, it seems like it'll likely happen, and that could play a factor in how many goals are scored for each one of these teams. Now, shots faced is at 13th for the Knights and 10th for the Jets. Both these teams do a great job at limiting the number of shots that are getting through to their goalie. Now, that does help the factor in how many goals allowed against that team. Of course, both these guys, top 5 for the Jets and right outside top 10 for the Knights. Seeing less shots going to lead to less goals. Pretty obvious there. The Golden Knights do lead the league in shots blocked. That's going to be a factor in some of the stuff here, no matter who's in net. So, how many shots can you put up? How many shots are you going to see? That's going to be a big factor. Now, of course, outside of that save percentage, although the Jets had a little bit of a lead in the goals against average, the Golden Knights are at 4th in save percentage. The Jets are at 8th. So it kind of evens out. If these two teams see the same number of shots, statistically speaking, standing speaking, the Knights would win. Now, of course, it's not going to happen like that. It never does. But, statistically speaking, if these two teams saw the same number of shots, the Golden Knights would be winning. That's something you got to take into account. So, that's your team stats. Whole lot to take in right there, and it's really good to kind of break down what it means for each team. Vegas Golden Knights blocking extra shots, that means less are going to get through for the Jets. The Jets having a better, goals against average means that the Vegas Golden Knights goals per game might be coming down. You got to, you're exchanging punches this whole time through the playoffs. I mean, through the whole regular season, but especially during the playoffs. You played 82 games. These standings, these stats of these major categories kind of do tell the actual story, because you played 82 games. You're going to end up where you're supposed to end up. So you do have to take in consideration what these stats and standings mean for the team. Now, it doesn't guarantee anything, but it is important to take into account. Now, player stats is the next thing I want to cover, and we're going to start with the Winnipeg Jets. Of course, I am a Vegas Golden Knights fan, but this is, I want to see both sides of the picture here. Whether I was an outsider, Jets fans, or anyone else that's an NHL fan, I want to give you the full information, as well as I want to know the full information so that I kind of know what's going on for the Golden Knights when the series starts tomorrow, I think, is game 1, Tuesday. And I'm very excited for that. Let's start first with the Jets player stats. I want to start with Connor Hellebuyck first, the goalie, the Vezina top 3, top 5 odds. Like I said, I don't think he's gonna win. I don't think anyone's taking one from Ullmark, Bruins goalie. I don't think that's happening. Nonetheless, 249 goals against average. That's a really good number. Actually, let's compare. Instead of going just Jets and then just Knights, at least for the goalie category, let's compare the two. Connor Hellebuyck, 249. That's the guaranteed starter for the Jets. I don't see them even giving David Rittich, probably saying his name wrong. I don't think he's going to get a chance. I mean, I think it's going to be Connor the whole series, even if it goes to 7. So 249 goals against average for him. We go down to the Vegas Golden Knights. Like I said, Laurent Brossoit is the expected starter, and he has a 217. Now, he's played 11 games versus like 64 for Connor. But still, that's a great number. 217, that puts him first among all the goalies for the Vegas Golden Knights. You have, of course, 2.5 for Hill and 2.65 for Logan Thompson. Like I said, I don't know if Logan Thompson will return. There's a chance you see Aiden Hill if Laurent Brossoit, kicks the can. But let's just compare Laurent Brossoit, and we'll toss in Hill's stats just because. 217 for Brossoit. So Brossoit edges him out there. But like I said, a lot less games. Those numbers are going to go up the more games you play. Switch over here to save percentage. A .92. 92 save percentage for Connor Hellebuyck. And then for Laurent Brossoit, you're going to have a 927. Once again, Brossoit a little bit better. It really does matter, though, about how many games played. It really affects a whole lot of things here. You also take a look here at the wins for Connor, 37 and 25 losses. And for Brossoit, you have 7, 0, and 3. He's never lost in regulation. I do kind of think that that's an important factor in some of this stuff. Now, for the regular season, it means an extra point, but just giving your team an extra shot, even when you're doing bad defensively, you're not scoring enough goals or you're allowing too many. The fact that he's not losing in regulation, I think, is an important factor. And you're not going to the shootout. That's something that the Vegas Golden Knights have struggled with a lot, is the shootout. I'm pretty sure there's no shootout in the playoffs. I'm almost positive now. If I'm somehow wrong, I guess. But that's a pretty important factor there. So Brossoit, technically speaking, has the edge in both the major statistical categories, but of course, playing less games, I think that's going to have a factor. Now, we take a look at some of these other statistics for the Jets first. Kyle Connor, 80 points. Josh Morrissey, 76 points. And then Mark Sheffield, 68 points. And Pierre also has 63. There's 4 guys over 60 for the Jets in points. Now, you switch over to the Vegas Golden Knights, you have 2 guys over 60. And that's, of course, Jack Eichel and Chandler Stevenson. Now, you missed some of your major guys due to injuries. Mark Stone missed some time, of course, and that's going to be a huge factor in how many points he could have got. And there's a whole lot of things going into it. But nonetheless, the Jets do have the edge in total guys that can kind of get it going points-wise. You have 4 guys over 60 versus only 2 for the Knights. And the highest number for the Golden Knights is 66 versus 80 for the Jets. Now, you take a look at some of the goals for both of these teams, if we can get this loaded here, and you kind of see a similar thing here. Mark Sheffield, 42, Kyle Connor, 31. You have 2 guys over 30, and for the Vegas Golden Knights, you have 0 guys over 30 goals. Jonathan Marchessault is right there at 28. Jack Eichel is right there at 27. Riley Smith, 26. You have guys that are close. And if they would have played more games, you would have got it. I mean, you take a look at these guys that are over 30, 82 games played, 81 games played for the Jets. Vegas Golden Knights, guys that are just under 30, 76 games played, 67, 78. You give them a couple more games, maybe they would have punched their ticket over that 30, but it's still, the Jets, player-wise, top of the list-wise, I kind of have the edge. Now, the number of games played is a huge factor, but that's not the Jets' fault. That's on the Golden Knights. We're going to see how this stuff plays out. Mark Stone is a huge factor. Let's pause for a second. Mark Stone is playing Game 1. He hasn't played in 3 months. About 3 months, I'll say. The captain of the Vegas Golden Knights is coming back for Game 1 of the playoffs. That's a huge factor. Huge. Way bigger than I think a lot of the people are going to realize. Getting Mark Stone back with Jack Eichel, and you're not worrying about cap space. So you have all these guys that have been doing great this year while Stone's gone. You get Stone back, I think it's going to help you out a lot. I mean, Jack Eichel's getting going. Chandler Stevenson has done great. Alex Pietrangelo, of course. William Karlsson's been doing good. Ivan Barbashev came in and has done great since the trade deadline. Jonathan Marchessault, and you bring Mark Stone back into the fold. That is kind of a scary sight for the Winnipeg Jets. I mean, the Vegas Golden Knights were the best seed in the West without Mark Stone for most of the season. You bring back the captain, that's going to play a big part in this. But you can't downplay, what the Jets can do. They have guys that can go out and score and produce points. This, I think, is going to be a lot better matchup than a lot of people will think it's going to be. Now, predictions. These are, of course, my personal predictions, and I love to hear you guys' predictions down below. Comment down below. How many games do you think they're going to? Is it going to be 5 games, 6 games, 7 games, 4 games, sweep? Who knows? Comment down below. Who do you think is going to win? And who do you think is going to come through with the most points through this series? Is it going to be a Jets player? Who? A Golden Knights player? Who? Comment all that down below. My predictions for this. Like, first prediction that I mentioned earlier, I think Connor Hellebuyck is going to be the goalie the whole time this series. The Golden Knights, I don't think so. I think we're going to see Adin Hill in at least one of these games. For whatever reason it may be, I think you're going to see at least 2 goalies for the Vegas Golden Knights. Maybe even Jonathan Quick. But I think you're going to see 2 goalies for the Vegas Golden Knights. There'll be one down game for Bro Swat, or they'll think he needs some rest, whatever it may be. They have enough, not cannon fodder, but they have enough players that are performing at a high level at that position that I think they're going to try to get somebody in there, at least to get some rest for Laurent Brossoit. Those are my predictions for the goalies. I think they're both going to have a great time. And I honestly think both these teams' goals per game with these tough goalies are going to be below league average. League average is like 3.5 or something. I think both these teams are going to be around like that 3 mark for goals per game. There will be some shootout, like some big time shootouts. I think there'll be at least one game with both teams having at least like 5 goals. It's bound to happen. No matter how great goalie play is, you're going to get a shootout here. You have enough guys that can perform and go score. It's going to happen at some point. Now, player predictions before I do the final prediction. Mark Stone is going to get at least 1 point in game 1. And I kind of think it's going to be 2 points. And I also kind of think it's going to be a goal in game 1. I think Mark Stone's going to come back swinging. He was super down on himself when they lost 2 years ago and were unable to make it to the finals. He was beating himself up. He was saying that he was the captain. He has to be the one that makes those shots, and he couldn't do it. And they missed last year. He was like tears in his eyes saying he's so excited to be back after 2 long years. I think Mark Stone's going to put up 1 point at least. I feel like it's going to be 2, and one of those is going to be a goal. That's my prediction for Mark Stone. Jack Eichel, I think, is going to have a big series. Pretty close to, I think, I'm going to say at least a point a game through this series. And I also feel like he's going to get about 3-4 goals, no matter how long the series is. Even if it's 4 game, I think he'll get like 3 goals. I think Jack Eichel is going to have a great game. For the Jets, I'm going to say that it's going to be either Mark or Kyle is going to have a hattie at some point during this. It just feels bound to happen. I mean, Mark's getting 0.5 goals per game. I don't know what these guys, how many hat tricks they've had through their career, if they've had any this year, but it just feels like it's going to happen where maybe game 1 or game 2 is going to be a really low scoring affair, and the Vegas Golden Knights are going to score like 2 extra points, and the Jets are going to come out a little bit riled, and I think that Mark or Kyle are going to end up getting a hat trick. I also feel like we're going to see, and I know Vezna's, I think it's technically a regular season trophy. I think we're going to see Connor Hellebuyck kind of become, the second best goalie in the league at like this year respectively. I think he's going to have a great series, especially shooting or save percentage. I think Vegas Golden Knights put a lot of shots in that, and he's going to save a lot of them. I think he's going to have a great series and still lose, kind of like what we saw, last year with Igor Shesterkin when he was having a great series, but they still end up losing. I think we're going to see something similar to that with Connor Hellebuyck. No matter if they win or lose, I think he's going to have a great series. Now, I guess I kind of leaked my series prediction. I think the Vegas Golden Knights are still going to win this series. I think it's going to be closer. Each game is going to be closer than expected. I don't think this series is going to be too much closer than we expect. I don't see a Game 7, at least. That's how I should say. And I will say I think it's going to be a 5-game series. But I think every game, except for like one, is going to be really, really close. Where the final 2 minutes, it's like you're pulling your goalie to give yourself a shot, or it's a last-minute goal, 5-on-5 last-minute goal with like 20 seconds left. I think this series, even though I believe it's going to be a 5-game series, I think all these games are going to be pretty darn close between these two teams. And it's going to be a fun game to watch. I won't be surprised if it goes to 6 or 7, but 5 just kind of feels right for me, especially for the Vegas Golden Knights. You know, they missed last year. They're going to come with a chip on the shoulder. Mark Stone's returning. You got a goalie that's been doing great. And you were the best seed in the Western Conference. You're not going to come into here like lackadaisical. So, 5 games, but every single game is going to be close. That is my prediction. What are your guys' predictions? Comment all that down below. And if you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this, more Vegas Golden Knights content, more NHL playoffs content, and all that stuff in between. Subscribe. It truly means the world to me. But as always, I hope you taught some today. Hope made a smile always last. Something really important to me. Affects tomorrow's day in a great way, because every single day can be a great day if you all just put in the effort. And, of course, as always, you guys all be safe out there.